Welcome to the non-dual lectionary for the sixth Sunday after Pentecost, year C. We've got another really well-known story, so let's just jump right into it. It's Luke chapter 10, verses 38 to 42. Jesus visits Mary and Martha. Now, as they went on their way, he entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him. She had a sister named Mary who sat at Jesus' feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks, so she came to him and asked, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me. But the Lord answered her, Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things, but few things are needed, indeed only one. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her. This one, there's a, sort of an obvious and a surface level interpretation, which I've heard given many times, right? Which is something like, Jesus is telling Martha that, it's more important to listen to him and worship Jesus, follow Jesus, than it is to do all these other things, right? The first thing that comes before anything else is listening to Jesus, following Jesus, all of that. Um, and I've also heard this other interpretation given, which I think gets much closer to what at least is, at least what I'm interested in, what this whole project is presenting, which is these non-dual nuggets from the Gospels. And that's something like a lesson on mindfulness, right? Not that, so that the take here would not be that Jesus is saying this task over here, listening to him, sitting at my feet, is more important than the tasks you're doing. The key here would be unlocking you are worried and distracted by many things, but few things are needed, indeed only one. And not that Jesus is specifying, and it's this one thing that you need to do, which is the surface level interpretation, but that it's the um the presence, the full presence that's needed in whatever it is. Um, because and this then is, I'm not saying anything new here. And go to any teacher, Eckhart Tolle, Adyashanti, Thomas Merton, James Finley, all the great teachers I love, but and more, Ramana Maharshi, all these, the lesson then being, um, the issue here is that, like, the ego self, part of how it kind of builds itself up and keeps itself going is through worry and distraction, through many things having to, it knows that there are many things that need to be done, right? It knows that it needs to take care of many things. It's got its lists and its things, and the process that's going on that kind of creates this illusion of self around ego is at its strongest when there's distraction and worry and all those things that Martha's doing with all of her tasks, right? And so Jesus is cutting right through that, right? Few things are needed, indeed only one. And then, is it and then, we can ask an interesting question then, right? Which is it that Jesus is meaning to prioritize something like spiritual devotion, or attention, not just in general, but attention to the religious life, the good life, the spiritual life, the contemplative life above all else? Um, some people will say that. I mean, that's again pretty close to that surface level interpretation. But it reminds me of the Zen ox herding pictures, right? Where at the last picture again is kind of returning to life, but in a new, with just a new recognition is the word I keep going to, right? Of what's really happening here, because the non-dual recognition, the non-dual manifestation, non-dual presence is something like being present with what is right now, not being distracted. There can be many things happening, but not being distracted or worried by them, right? And the gospel here says not just that Martha was doing many tasks, but she was distracted by many tasks, right? And so doing many things, but not, you can be going fast, but not hurrying or rushing. You can be doing many things, but not being distracted or worried by them. And again, it's not like a like with a lot of things, right? It's not a should, it's not a, fashion your ego self in such a way that you approach things this way or that way. Although there can be a little bit of putting yourself in the best position to have that recognition in a way that kind of does that. But, just again, point out that fundamentally what is underlying all, beyond, behind, always already the surface level of things is this presence that just is present with whatever is. And the closest pointer we might be able to give to that, I mean, there's a lot of pointers, but one of the closest pointers we can give is, hey, few things are needed, indeed only one. And so that I think is again just a beautiful little story. One that I think again a lot of people that are teaching or preaching on this gospel get kind of close to, right? And it just shows again like a little bit like what a brilliant teacher Jesus is in this context 2,000 years ago. Maybe there can be better teachings or more apt teachings today, but to really cut through the heart of things there, and again, as always, just point out what is already.